I'm 32, and for the last 5 years, I thought I was building a future with Erica, who's 30. We'd lived together for 3 years, shared bills, and even talked casually about marriage. If you'd asked me a month ago, I would have told you she was my person, the one I'd spend the rest of my life with. Then 3 weeks ago, everything shifted. It started with something small and boring, like most big discoveries do. Our internet bill. Normally, I don't even think twice about it because it's set to autopay from our joint account. But that day, the payment failed, and the website wasn't working properly on my phone. Erica wasn't home, but her laptop was sitting on the desk. I figured no harm in using it. When I typed in the bank login that was saved on her browser, I expected to land on the same account we always used. Instead, I landed on a completely different page, an account I had never seen before. For a second, I thought maybe I typed something wrong, but then my eyes caught the balance in bold, $14,872. I froze. We lived paycheck to paycheck. I'd seen Erica juggle credit card payments, complain about gas prices, and stress about splitting the cost of groceries. We'd argued more than once about cutting back. So how in the world did she have nearly 15 grand tucked away? I stared at the number, my head buzzing. At first, I told myself maybe it was an old savings account. Maybe she'd gotten help from her parents. Maybe there was some simple explanation. But then curiosity got the better of me, and I clicked into the transactions. That's when the ground started to tilt. There were deposits, regular, steady ones. Some from Zelle, some from Venmo, some from Cash App. Notes attached to the payments made my chest tighten. Thanks for last night. You're amazing. Can't wait for Friday. Dinner was perfect. The amounts weren't small either. $400, $600, sometimes $800. And they came in like clockwork. In just 1 week, she'd pulled in over $2,000. I sat there staring at the screen, barely breathing. For months, maybe years, she'd been hiding this. The vacations she took with friends, the designer handbag she bragged she'd scored on sale, the fancy dinners she claimed were covered by her girlfriends splitting the check. All of it suddenly looked different. It wasn't just the money. It was the lying. The double life. When Erica got home that night, she kissed me on the cheek like nothing was wrong. I forced myself to act normal, my stomach flipping while I cooked dinner. She chatted about her day, about her cousin's upcoming engagement party, about a Netflix show she wanted us to start. Meanwhile, I couldn't stop replaying those payment notes in my head. Someone out there was paying her for last night. Someone was thanking her for Friday. And she was sitting across from me, laughing, eating pasta, like nothing was wrong. I didn't say anything. Not yet. I needed to be sure. I needed to know the full scope of what I'd stumbled on. So later that night, after she fell asleep, I grabbed her laptop again. I opened the account and started digging deeper, pulling every statement I could find. Each page confirmed what I already suspected. Erica wasn't just keeping a little secret. She had been running a second life right under my nose. And I had no idea how long it had been going on. That night, after Erica drifted off to sleep beside me, I lay awake staring at the ceiling. My body was still, but my mind was spinning. I had two choices: confront her right away or sit with the knowledge until I had all the pieces. A part of me wanted to shake her awake and demand answers, but the rational part knew she'd deny everything, twist it, maybe even accuse me of snooping. I needed something undeniable, so I chose silence. Over the next week, I became two people. On the surface, I was the same boyfriend I'd always been, going to dinner with her, running errands, even listening to her complain about traffic or talk about her cousin's wedding colors. Underneath, though, I was methodically uncovering her lies. Every night when she went to bed, I slipped out of the room with her laptop. I started downloading statements, saving them as PDFs. I screenshotted every single Cash App note, every Venmo transfer, every Zelle deposit. At first, I thought maybe it was just one guy. A stupid mistake, some kind of fling she monetized. But the deeper I went, the clearer the picture became. This wasn't one person. There were at least 4 different names, all sending money regularly. The notes read like half-flirty diary entries. Wish you stayed longer. That dress was worth every dollar. Same time next week. For men. For separate streams of money. And I was the fool splitting grocery bills while she told me we needed to cut back. It made me sick. Worse still were the connections to her real life. The girls' trips to Vegas. Paid for by deposits that lined up perfectly with the flight dates. The fancy shoes she wore to her cousin's engagement photo shoot. Bought days after a $700 transfer. Even the little luxuries she claimed were gifts from friends. The wine bottles, the spa appointments, the handbag she said was a clearance find. All of them traced back to her secret account. It wasn't just cheating. It was a lifestyle she'd built behind my back, brick by brick, while letting me believe we were scraping by. Still, I said nothing. I smiled. I asked how her day was. I cooked dinner. And every night, I added to my growing folder of evidence. By the end of 2 weeks, I had enough to make my case in a courtroom if I wanted. But that wasn't the kind of confrontation I wanted. I didn't want a screaming match in our living room. I didn't want her crocodile tears or her promises that it was just a phase, or that she'd stop. What I wanted was for her mask to come off. Not just for me, but for everyone who still thought she was the sweet, responsible woman she pretended to be. The opportunity came gift-wrapped. Erica's cousin was having an engagement party, and, of course, she wanted me there. She practically begged me to come because she wanted to show me off. The irony nearly made me laugh. She thought I'd stand at her side, smiling like the loyal partner, while she hid a whole secret life from me. I told her I wouldn't miss it. Meanwhile, I was already planning. I transferred the screenshots and statements to a USB drive. I even recorded a video scrolling through her bank activity, just in case anyone accused me of fabricating it. It wasn't about revenge, it was about clarity. If Erica wanted to argue that I was overreacting, she could do it in front of an audience. Because I was done carrying her secret alone. The night of the engagement party came faster than I expected. Erica spent the whole afternoon getting ready, buzzing with excitement. She tried on 2 different dresses, asked which heels looked better, and kept saying how proud she was to have me there with her. I nodded, complimented her, even helped zip her dress. On the outside, I was steady. On the inside, I was already rehearsing what I was about to do. The party was being held at a nice banquet hall just outside the city. Round tables draped in white, fairy lights strung across the ceiling, champagne flutes lined up at every setting. Families mingled, friends hugged, and music played softly in the background. Erica slipped her arm through mine as we walked in, smiling like nothing in the world could be wrong. To everyone else, we looked like a normal couple celebrating love and family. But I knew what was sitting on the USB drive in my jacket pocket. Dinner was nice enough. I made small talk with her relatives, congratulated her cousin, and even laughed at a few jokes from the groom-to-be. All the while, Erica kept leaning into me, whispering things like, "This is so perfect, isn't it?" Perfect. That word nearly made me choke. When dessert was cleared, the DJ announced they were opening the floor for anyone who wanted to share a slideshow or pictures of the happy couple. A few people went first, cute childhood photos, vacation snapshots, old prom pictures. Everyone clapped, laughed, and cheered. Then Erica leaned toward me and said, "You should put up that vacation reel from last year, the one from Lake Tahoe. People would love it." I smiled and said, "Good idea." Instead of pulling out the vacation reel, I walked up to the DJ booth and handed him the USB. "Play the file labeled slideshow," I told him. He nodded and queued it up without hesitation. The screen flickered, and the first slide appeared in big bold letters. "Congratulations to Erica's double life." At first, there were chuckles. Some people thought it was a joke, maybe a light-hearted roast. Erica herself laughed nervously and looked at me like I'd done something silly. But before she could even form a sentence, the next slide popped up. "A Cash App transfer, $600, thanks for last night." The room went quiet. Another slide. "Venmo payment for $100. That dress was worth every dollar." Then came screenshots of hotel bookings under fake names, overlapping with weekends she'd told me she was on girls' trips. More payment notes followed. "See you Friday. Wish you stayed longer. Same time next week." People shifted uncomfortably in their seats. Her cousin's smile faltered. Her aunt whispered something sharply to the person next to her. Erica shot up from her chair, eyes wide, and hurried toward the booth, but the DJ kept playing the file. The next slide rolled across the screen. Her secret account balance $14,872. And then the kicker, a message where she referred to me as boring but reliable rent money. I didn't move. I just stood off to the side, letting the room take it all in. The laughter was gone. The hall was silent except for the clicking of the slides. Erica reached the booth and tried to pull the cord, but the DJ swatted her hand away. She turned back toward me, face pale, mouthing something like, "How could you?" But I didn't answer, because in that moment, it wasn't me who needed to explain anything. The room was silent in a way that felt heavier than noise. The slides kept rolling, each one pulling back another layer of Erica's secret life. Transactions, screenshots of messages, even side-by-side dates showing how her Vegas girls' trips perfectly lined up with hotel receipts under different men's names. Her mom covered her mouth with her hand. Her father stood up slowly, like he couldn't quite believe what he was seeing. Across the room, her cousin, the bride-to-be, looked horrified, whispering something to her fiancé, who just shook his head. Erica finally managed to yank the USB out of the booth, cutting the slideshow short. She turned on me instantly, her voice sharp and breaking at the same time. "You're insane. You're trying to humiliate me in front of my family." I didn't raise my voice. I didn't move toward her. I just looked at her and said, It was just a side hustle, right? Then you won't mind a side audience. That line seemed to hang in the air. She froze, like she didn't know how to respond. People were staring at her, not me. Every relative, every friend, people who thought they knew her, were seeing her through an entirely new lens. Her mom muttered, "Erica, tell me this isn't true." Her dad just shook his head, looking at the ground. But there was no way out for her. The evidence had been right there, projected on a 12-foot wall for everyone to see. She tried to play the victim. "I can't believe you would do this to me, on this night, with my family here. You're sick." And I said, calm as ever, "I didn't do this to you. You did this to yourself. I just stopped keeping your secret." By the end of the night, her cousin told her directly she wasn't welcome at the wedding. Her parents walked out without her. People avoided her eyes as she tried to plead with them. I didn't stay for the aftermath. Once the truth was out, my work there was done. I picked up my coat, thanked the groom's parents for dinner, and left. Erica called me that night, screaming into the phone, but I let it ring. Then came the texts, angry ones, followed by apologetic ones, followed by desperate ones. I didn't answer a single one. 2 weeks later, word got back to me about how her life had unraveled. Her parents had cut her off financially. One of her roommates told me Erica had been kicked out of her apartment after falling behind on rent. The sugar daddies that had been her steady income had vanished once they realized she wasn't single and that her cover had been blown. Even her part-time job was gone. The manager had been at that engagement party. I wish I could say I felt triumphant, but mostly, I just felt tired. Hurt. The woman I thought I'd spend my life with had been selling lies for years, and I had been the last to know. But at least I wasn't carrying it alone anymore. Now, when I think back on that night, I don't feel guilty for what I did. I gave people the truth, and the truth has a way of doing its own damage. I appreciate you watching till the end. Hit that subscribe button and stay tuned for more content.